Hey, today we're going to be talking about target training 101. My name is Ivy Scheck-Snyder, and I'm a gaited horse trainer from Northern Illinois. Though I do a lot of other things like clicker training and trick training and liberty and bridleless, and I do all that, a lot of that just for fun. But I'm doing live videos every day to, give people something to do and to work on while we are home, and some of us are with our horses. So we'll wait for a few people to join, and then we'll get started talking about the benefits of target training and what you can use them for and how other people have used them and the fun stuff that can be used for. If there are any issues with the live stream, please comment. If you have any questions, please comment, and I will answer them if I can during the live video. We have more videos coming up. This week, we're still talking about, so tomorrow, I think tomorrow I was talking about getting your gaited horse to trot, and then on Friday talking about whether you should train your gaited horse on straight lines or on circles and bends, and talking about when you would do each of those things. So target training is not a popular thing. I can tell you this because I've only been doing it for about a year, a little over a year. Before that, I didn't really see the value. But now I can't believe that I didn't do it sooner. So if you're talking to people and they don't necessarily believe in target training, remember that it's really simple for people to be there, to not see the benefit or the value, to see it as gimmicky, and to not realize what a powerful tool it is. And I want to thank my friend Michelle and her business, which is called Essential Animal Training, and for the help she's given me in the last year with learning how to do the target training well and learning how to get my timing better and the benefits. So for example, I'm training my foal to learn to lead, and I'll be using the clicker training to teach her to pick up her feet. And I'm using the target to teach her to, follow me. And we'll use that with the halters to avoid using pressure. So sometimes when you work with foals and you first put a halter on and put pressure on, it can be pretty dramatic. And the goal will be to avoid that kind of stress on the horse. So things like that are very fun, and I just so love the training. I'm hoping to be able to, in the next few weeks, get a video of training a horse to sit down using clicker training and target training to shape the backwards and the lean back and actually sitting down. Hey, we've got Tanya watching, and we have Robin from the UK. It is so fun to see the different people watching. Okay, we're going to get started. The first video, so target training is an extension of the positive reinforcement, which I talked about in the video yesterday. I will put the link in the description as soon as the video is done. And so make sure you watch that first before you get started with the target training. Now, the targets you're going to see me using, one was a target that I bought from Shawna Karrasch on a telescoping pole that you can buy from her. You can make your own by gluing a ball or a pool noodle or anything to the end of it. Someone asked if you could use a clean toilet bowl brush, which you absolutely can. You can make your own kind of makeshift target. Some people wind a bunch of fabric around the end. Try to pick something that they can't easily bite and something that's not going to get too dirty. And if, like I said, if you have any questions or need me to clarify something, please go ahead and comment, and I will answer that. I also am going to show you a little bit of a video of me training my mare Serenity. We are doing bridleless riding, or we were last year before she had her foal. Bridleless riding just using the target and positive reinforcement. And also showing you some of the stuff with Macaroni and the foal as well. So stay tuned, that's going to be included in this video. So first up, we have target training with Macaroni. Now this is after she was at Happenstance for just a few days. She came with very little training at all. And I wanted to start doing the target training after she'd been there for a few days. And I did the target training in what's called protected contact. So the stall door wall was between me and her, and I was able to work with her doing it that way. So here you go. So here you can sort of see that I'm at the bottom of the screen. I'm holding my whip, and that it has a ball on the end. And she put her nose near it, and so I clicked and gave her a treat. This is Macaroni's very first time doing target training. I had already gotten her used to the idea that the click means food is coming. Right there. So then I also take the target away. So once I give the click, I move the target away from her, which is very easy to do because I just pull it out of the stall.
Thanks, no problem.
This is filming with the GoPro on my helmet. Put it in, and I'm trying to keep it very close to her nose, very obvious. If I had done a bigger, more obvious target, that would have been better. Excuse me. And there are times when if a horse is distracted, it's better to not put the target in there so that, like, to set them up to fail, we want to do it when they are paying attention. And I'm just waiting. I put it near her and then just waited. And there she bumped it, and so I clicked and I gave her the treat. And again, you do not have to feed by hand. You could drop feed into a bucket. And again, for feed, you can use oats, you can use sweet feed, you can use hay pellets or chaff hay if your horse has a problem with things that are sweet. I had to change and go get grain or change the battery here. So this is just continuing the same session. So this is just a few minutes later. Nothing really has changed.
Good girl.
And you can see she came right over. It's not because of the target. She just likes interacting with people. There, she touched it, and I clicked. And again, this is the very beginning. We're not asking her to do anything other than touch it with her nose. And I probably should have waited until she brought her attention back to me before I put the target in with her, so that she was more likely to just touch it right away. That's my mistake. Again, the target training is fairly new to me, and I'm still learning the best way of doing that. Obviously, she's a pretty relaxed state. Nothing is going on. Macaroni herself is not scared of the clicker. So you can use sounds other than the clicker. The clicker is just very unique from most other sounds they will encounter, and it's consistent. But if your horse is scared of the clicker, absolutely go ahead and use a different sound. There, she touched it. Click. Treat. Be very patient. Your early sessions should be short. They don't need to be very long for the horse to start to get the idea. And multiple short sessions are always to your and the horse's advantage, for sure. Again, always something we have to be reminding ourselves. I have to remind myself to just stop and don't push for more. And again, early on, the horse might touch it accidentally, but that still counts. And most horses, if they've done any of the clicker training, they catch on to this pretty quickly. You see her looking at it right away. She's like, It's funny because Macaroni actually, she likes kind of being in the stall, and quite the face she's giving the ball right there, the target. Probably should have waited till she was finished chewing. Again, my bad, because then she goes and touches it right away. Which is another reason why I tend to use grain and not using food that's a big treat that takes longer for them to chew, because they'll be chewing there for a while. And so you can kind of see just this is the length of the very first session I did with her. And I think the sessions after this were mostly in the arena than at Liberty. And generally when you do a clicker training like this, you want to have some food available. So I know we had hay in here for her. And like I've been doing a lot of the training with my horses when they're on grass. So there's plenty of food that they want to eat. But if they choose to interact rather than eat the grass, they still have food available. All right, so there you go. That's a training session, what you would look like when you just were first starting. And you don't have to do it with protected contact. You don't have to do it where the horse is behind a wall. But if you're at all worried, or the horse, sometimes when I had horses, they weren't focused on the clicker, they were like on me. And so putting a wall or a barrier, even just a low fence between you, gives you an opportunity for the horse to focus on your target and less on you. And that can be very, very beneficial. So making sure that if the horse is just getting into your space and not focusing on the target, try some protected contact, and that'll probably really help you. Okay, hey Marlis and Kimberly, who's working with her colt. and Brooke, and Bonnie, and Diana, and Monica, and Nancy from Vancouver Island, and Diane, and Melody. Tonda, what do you do with a very scared head shy pony? She's also very hard to get around her rear area to even brush her tail. So really basically, if you can teach her to get used to the clicker training, and that what the click means, you can start to work on letting her, what I did with Macaroni is actually Macaroni was scared of having her ears touched. She didn't rear, but she was very scared. What I taught her to do was move her head toward, like her eye and her forehead toward my hand as part of a target. And very quickly I started shaping it, and she would push her ears into my hand. And it was so sweet and beautiful and quiet and amazing. One thing that's really cool with target training is it's used heavily in zoos or for training exotic animals. So imagine that you have a rhinoceros or a large animal that you can't necessarily be in there and be safe. You can teach them to come right alongside the fence by following a target, and then teach them to pick up a hoof or teach them to pick up a leg or do things with it by touching a target or following a target without having to be in there with them. And there's so many, many applications for using this. If you just start trying to think, if I want them to touch something and position their body a certain way, how could I do that? And the horse is obviously ultimately choosing to do it with you when it's at liberty. And I think it is just amazing. There's almost limitless ways that you can use this powerful training tool. Bonnie, you're welcome. Harley does, however, go for the target for food, of course. The thing is, a lot of people say, well, the horse is just doing it for food. And the thing is, if you have a horse that's scared, the food doesn't do anything for them. What does is the pattern of reinforcement. My friend Michelle was just saying this. It's not the food per se. It's the pattern of reinforcement saying that when you do this and you hear the click, you know that you did a good thing, that things are safe, and that food is coming, and that in itself is the reinforcer. The food becomes a secondary motivator. Shelly, I'm glad. I'm trying to do a good job explaining it. So we're going to move on to the next video where this is from yesterday, where I was doing the target training with Firefly. This is, I believe, her 4th or 5th session. All sessions have been shorter than 5 minutes, I believe. And this is just at Liberty. She's in the yard. I just fed them. They'd eaten a bunch of grain and been eating grass all day. And she still chose to interact and eat the food. But she'd been eating all day and had her full ration of grain. Though you can do this training with their ration of grain in place of any extra grain. So here, she touches it. Oh, hold on one sec. I think we're not at the beginning. And, okay, this is the beginning.
Okay.
So she's already been doing this 5 different times. So this is the target, and we've used this almost every time, this white target. And what I need to do is make sure that I put the target behind me when I'm not asking her. So she's kind of got the idea down pretty well, where I can ask almost right away and she'll go for it. But if you find your horse isn't quite getting it, give him time to chew and think about it a little bit. And so my goal with this one, again, I tend to want to work on a lot of different things, but I was trying to focus on really just, and Cloud wanted to touch it too, but really just getting her to go forward. I wanted to work on backing up. I wanted to work on other stuff, but I said, it's just better to work on one thing, which was just following the target and then touching it, which she's doing really good at. And again, not asking her to follow me for hundreds of feet, just a few steps. So I want to keep what's called the rate of reinforcement really high. I want her to go, this is great. And continue to want to do it. And I try to give her a break by giving her a little scratch. Again, with the foals or horses that are itchy and like scratches, you don't have to use food. You can use lots of scratches. I've been training Firefly to take the food gently, and so we haven't really had an issue with using food. But if she were to get really mouthy, I would do training to keep her from being mugging, and I would also maybe move back to doing scratches. Yeah. Now here I tried to get her to trot with me, and she didn't. But in a video a little bit later on, she actually did do a little bit of trotting with me by following the target. And so what a cool thing. I don't have to pull on the horse. I can already start to teach her to lead next to me without having any rope or any pressure on her. There we go. And the goal is to keep her engaged. If she were to start to disengage, that would mean I went with my session too long. Here I'm reaching over her back, gets her used to turning and having something come over her back and suddenly appear and not have any issues. So like teaching her to turn is going to be super easy whenever I ride her because she's already getting the idea of turning. Okay, there's that. And so I hope that has shown you a little bit how, you know, a few sessions down the road, what you can do. It's very simple still, but simple is very, very good. Okay. Susan says, to get them to let you touch ears, you put the target and touch their body part. I'm confused. So what I'm doing with, when I want them to touch their ears to me, we've done the target training with their nose, right? Okay, so they know to touch their nose to the target. They know what the click means. But now I take it a step further. I hold my hand up, and I do this with my hand, though you could do it with the target. As I hold my hand, you know, close to their face, and I want them to touch like their cheek or their eye or their forehead to my hand. And I make it easy. I put it close to something that they're comfortable with. So if the pony that was mentioned doesn't mind having your forehead touched, you put your hand close to the forehead, you know, like right there. And if the horse just brings it in and just touches your hand, then you click and give a treat. And you just do that till the horse learns to just push their hand into you. And then you gradually, when they push their forehead, wait for the horse to drop their head and put their head a little bit lower into your hand. And then click and reward for that. And then, with Macaroni, it took 2 sessions, and she was pushing her ears into my hand that were previously very ear shy, and she didn't want you touching her ears. Robin says, I like the thought that you can use a target train to get a horse to load in a trailer. You absolutely can. It gives the horse so much choice, and I've seen Shawna Karrasch load a horse that didn't really want to, and she did it in like 30 minutes or less. It was like 20 minutes. I was very impressed. Diane, oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. Nancy says, how do you draw the line when you're finished with a clicker treat session? You just want to stand quietly, but the horse keeps trying to get you to interact for another treat. Well, one you can do is walk away. Now, that is kind of like negative reinforcement, and so not everybody is in favor of that. But it's basically saying, look, the game is done. And I usually just say, all done. And like with Macaroni, she learned it really well. I start scratching the horse, like giving them something else to focus on other than food. And that's worked really well for me. So that has been a beneficial thing to do for Macaroni. As once we were done with the food, then I would scratch her and tell her, oh, we're doing something different now. Or you can start using scratches. It's a good question. I will think about that in terms of getting a more precise answer for you. Hey, Lori. Okay, so one more video. And this is a little longer, so keep asking questions if you have anything. So this is going to be Serenity and a little bit of Bridleless training. So, okay, I thought we had a different video queued up. So here you can see this is the video from the GoPro. Oh, I know what's wrong. We're not at the beginning. One sec, we'll go to the beginning of this, I think. Okay, so here's the beginning. This is our Bridleless ride. This is our 7th Bridleless ride with Serenity, just kind of in the middle of it. So we're mostly working a lot on turning and stopping and backing up. And the goal is for her to follow the target. Now I keep the target behind me when I'm not using it. And so here I'm asking her to turn to the right. And then I clicked. And I think I don't have the audio on for this, so you can't hear when I click. But as she's turning toward it, so this is basically, now we've moved from always having to touch the target to now following the target. So this is last July. I have not done much riding because in August she had her foal, and then she lost a bunch of weight, which she's gaining back, and so I didn't want to ride her as much. So we'll get started with that, and probably another month we'll continue this Bridleless riding. So working on turning. So here I'm asking her to turn to the right to follow the target, and then I click and reward. And I'm rewarding for just a couple steps of turning. Now again, this is not the first session, because the first session definitely looked worse, but you could imagine getting your horse to turn really easily once they're trained to the target. Look, I just put the target to her right, and she turns to the right. And this is ride 7. I've never done Bridleless with her and hardly done much riding with her at all. So it's not like she's a finished horse that's like working off my legs and is all neck reined. I haven't ridden her hardly at all. And we're in a big, 2.5 acre pasture. She is by herself in this pasture. The other horses are right next to her. So there she's turning, and I'm clicking and rewarding. Now, a lot of you may not want to do Bridleless, and that's totally fine. This is not something that you have to do, but I'm showing you different applications using the same tool, a very simple target. So this is ride number 9, a few days later, and I'm actually asking her to trot, and this is the very first time I asked her to speed up while riding. So this is just a quick snippet, because I was able to get her to somewhat turn and focus on me even when we sped up, which was so fun when we got to this point that I felt like I could trust her enough that we could kind of go where I wanted. And look at this, it's a whole field of grass, which she has access to, but she could be just interested in eating. But she's doing a great job of paying attention to me. Give her time to chew. A lady that was coming to watch and learn some clicker training. And so this is just one application. Imagine if you have a horse and like there's the backup. We put the target by their chest and I've trained it on the ground and then on the saddle to train the backup, which could also be a train for whoa. You could train the whoa by training a really good backup cue on the ground and then under saddle. And look at her put her head down. Again, Serenity is a very high-headed mare, but we did a lot of head down on the ground and it translated to the saddle beautifully. Okay, so those are the videos that I have for you guys. So again, I'll answer any questions, and as I'm doing more target training with my horses, I will continue to video. I have some extra videos already up on my private training group. Again, it's $100 one-time fee. If you can't join because of finances, I will continue to put out these free videos, no worries, and continue to answer questions. So that's not a problem, and I want to be able to help people. But you can post videos on there, and I give you feedback, and you have extra clinic videos and Liberty and Bridleless videos that are not available on Facebook or on YouTube. Susan says, I taught my mini donkey to load in a trailer years ago with a clicker. I use an electric fence, plastic connector as a target. Great, you can use almost anything. Marla says, I use a target to teach my filly to load. Melody says, I have a kill pen rescue that spooks a lot and is terrified of most everything. Any tips introducing a target to one that is extremely spooky? So again, you don't introduce the target first. You do the clicker training. You charge the clicker, which was the video from yesterday. And once you do that, again, you don't have to use a click. If the horse is scared of it, you could use a quieter click. You can use a different cue and begin to teach the horse that when they hear that click, that food is coming, and get them so that they love that and are looking forward to it. Once they happen that, then you can introduce something through a fence. So keep the horse where the horse is comfortable and try to introduce something not scary, so not a bag, nothing that's going to blow, and try to introduce that through a fence and make it a really good thing for the horse. And if you're struggling, please go ahead and take a video and let us see it. And I think that will probably help a lot. Lori says, not a clicker training question, but would you consider doing one of these videos to show a beginner video editing tutorial? Sure, I could do that. Lori, if you could either message me or comment a little bit more of what you would like to see in a video editing tutorial, I'd happily do that. I can talk about a couple different video editing options, but I'd like to know what you're actually looking for. One tip I'll give you guys right now is do not hold your phone vertically, hold it horizontally. I will do live videos vertically when I'm just talking to the camera, but pretty much anything else I'm doing will be horizontal. So there's just a little tip for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Donna says, I really enjoy your videos. Make everything easy to clear understand. I've had horses for 40 years and we never quit learning. I hope I don't quit learning either, Donna. And by doing this, I'm having to do research and look at footage and go out and practice it with my horses. So it gives me a reason to keep going too. So again, my name is Ivy Scheck-Snyder. I'm a gaited horse trainer, primarily from Northern Illinois. We're doing these live videos every day, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Central Time. And I'll be doing tomorrow's video, I believe, is on the trot. Is that right? I always forget to look before I start the live video on what I am doing the next day. And so this week has been a little bit less about the gaited because we did 2 on clicker training and positive reinforcement, which again, it's not necessary for you to train using this, but it's something that I have found very valuable. Even for horses, I had a horse that the guy did mounted shooting, but the horse hated to have the earplugs put in his ears. He was just terrified. He'd whip his head around. Well, I used clicker training with this horse who'd never had clicker training done. And within 20 minutes, you could put the earplugs in both ears. It was amazing. And it's not like he's going to use clicker training for the rest of his life. but to help a horse get over a problem without having any stress, like there was no tying him up, nothing. It was really easy. Yes, tomorrow is training the gaited horses to trot. Thursday is, gosh darn it, gaited horses are hard, and why you guys are struggling so much, and why everyone is struggling. And then Friday is straight lines versus circles. So you can tune in to those as well, and I am looking forward to talking about those. So ear shyness, again, I don't know that I have a video. I could maybe try to train Serenity to do that, even though she's not ear shy, but just try to think about, use your imagination a little bit and think about how you could get the horse to bring their head to you. Not where you hold them down or you reach for their ears, but that they bring it to you and make it really positive. Use a high rate of reinforcement so they enjoy liking it. Tonda says, where can you buy clickers? Almost any pet supply store has it. Amazon carries them. It's usually pretty easy to find if you need them. Donna says, I've done clicker training with my dogs. I've not tried it with my horses. Can't wait to try it on the mule. Oh, that would be fun. I tell you what, I'm not trying to buy horses this year, but I really want a gaited mule. Ugh, like I said, if someone wants to loan me or give me a gaited mule, I am all over that this year. Brooke says, how many sessions does it usually take for a horse to not be barn sour? I've been using your advice from last week, and he's much better, but he still can't go as far away as I like. Okay, that's a great question, Brooke. It depends on the horse and how bad it is, and how bad the buddy sourness is, and how well and how often you're rewarding. So I can't see any of that. I've seen significant progress in 4 to 5 days of training, but that is stopping a lot to eat. That's when we have grass along the side of the road, and I'm stopping frequently to reward other things, but praising the horse. And I'm also a very confident rider, and the horses were not terrible. Like, they didn't bolt for home. They were just whinnying a lot and a little anxious. That you're making progress, I'm just going to tell you, that's awesome. Brooke, that is really good to make a progress in a week. And it's a good question to ask, like how much you should see progress. But don't think that, you've done a bad job, that it's taking longer than it took me, or it's going to take longer for your guy. Just keep being super positive and praising your horse, and get him, the more you get him focused on you, the better. So really excellent job taking the advice I gave and implementing it. A lot of people just watch the videos and don't go try. Not you guys, but there are people that watch training videos and go, that's interesting, but don't actually do it. Let's see. Marnie says she just bought a clicker through Amazon. Yep. And yeah, Tanya, love gaited mules. Donna says Mama is gaited, and unfortunately he isn't, but he's dang cute, pure white with blue eyes. Yep, some of the mules are gaited and some aren't, but that's super cute. Okay, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here unless there's any other questions. And thank you guys so much for watching. It is much more fun to do this live video when I have an audience. Tomorrow we're going to talk about training horses to trot and why you would want to do that, including using it for a better canter, using it for endurance, for dressage, for strengthening the gait, and many other reasons. And how do you do that? So we will be talking about that tomorrow. And I can't wait to see you guys. I hope you're having the warmer weather, but I think pretty much right now, the whole U.S. is a little bit colder than everybody would like, which is definitely true here in Illinois. So anyway, you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. So have a good day. You got this.